everybody, welcome back for another video. So in just a few days it will be Thanksgiving here in the United States, and I am a huge fan of Thanksgiving, and I'm sure I'll get into all the reasons why as we do this tag. But last year I was watching Thanksgiving tag videos and I was like, that's such a good idea, I really want to make one. But by the time I got around to it, it was far too late to push out a video like that. So I made sure that this year I would definitely get around to it. But when I went back to watch all of the Thanksgiving tags that inspired me last year, I realized that I really didn't like any of the Thanksgiving tags I saw. I watched 2 or 3 and I just felt like the prompts were written by somebody who really didn't understand a good Thanksgiving dinner. So I decided to completely revamp it and come up with my own Thanksgiving tag. So please do this tag video. If you are a booktuber out there, I would absolutely love it if you did this tag, because I think it's really fun and I really want to hear other people's answers too. So even if you're like me last year and you don't see it until it's too late, you should totally still do it, because Thanksgiving, in my opinion, is just the gateway, the beginning to the whole holiday season. And so all of this stuff would totally work for just a holiday theme. So here we go. Now, for those of you who are not in the United States, let me tell you about Thanksgiving, okay? Thanksgiving is where you put on your church clothes and you go to your grandma's house and you stand in her kitchen and everybody eats food while they're cooking. And then you spread it out all over the biggest table in your house, and you pretend like you are a king from your favorite fantasy book and you are hosting a royal wedding. We literally pretend like we're at a banquet. I'm talking turkey and ham and mashed potatoes and rivers of gravy and so many side dishes that you would never be able to even think about consuming them all. Rolls. So many desserts, so many pies and desserts that you wouldn't even believe it. It is a day of overindulgence, but more than anything, it is a day of gratitude. It's a day where we spend time together as a family and really just focus on things we are grateful for. There's also some historical reasons we do Thanksgiving, but in my opinion, like I said earlier, I consider it to be kind of the pregame, the prologue, the tailgating for the whole holiday season. This is the kickoff. And that's why I don't really mind when people decorate for Christmas. I know, hot take. I don't mind when people decorate for Christmas before Thanksgiving, because it really feels like the beginning of the Christmas season. So especially if you're hosting, I understand wanting your home to feel like the holiday season has arrived. So I'm not against decorating early for Thanksgiving, but unfortunately for me, I'm the only person in my household who has that hot take. So we don't decorate until after Christmas. But if you do, I've got your back, okay? So after we eat the meal, the whole family spends the rest of the day watching football and taking epic naps. And then in the evening, we're going to get up from these naps and wake up out of our food comas and honestly probably start to drink a little too much, play some board games, maybe some heated conversations start taking place. So there's ups and downs to Thanksgiving. There might be some family drama. It gets interesting, but it is one of my favorite times because it's all of the warmth and the good feelings and the gratitude that comes with Christmas, but without the pressure of gift giving and all the decorations and caroling, and there's a lot of fun stuff to do at Christmas, but also sometimes it can feel like a lot of things to do. So to me, Thanksgiving is kind of the chill, laid back version of the holiday season. So what I have done with this book tag is I have taken some quintessential Thanksgiving food items, as well as just things that contribute to the whole vibe of Thanksgiving, and have created book-related prompts to go along with each one. So I'm going to kick it off with what I think is kind of the star of the show. And if you don't agree with me, then I just think you're not making them right. And that is mashed potatoes. So Every version of this I saw beforehand kind of treated mashed potatoes like they were the problem. And mashed potatoes should be one of the tastiest things on your plate. And if they're not, if you think they are bland or are not flavorful, then you're just not making them right. And again, I'm probably going to come at you with a lot of hot takes, but maybe that's another one. But I love mashed potatoes. So to me, mashed potatoes are the crowd pleaser. Like everyone, whether you're the baby or you're the grandpa, like everybody wants them on their plates. And they taste good with everything. Like picky eaters like them. People who, want complicated, layered flavors, like to use it as, a vehicle for other food. I think mashed potatoes are the bomb. And so, to me, like I said, mashed potatoes are the crowd pleaser. So the book that comes to my mind when I'm thinking crowd pleaser is going to be Jurassic Park by Michael Crichton. This is a book to me that's kind of one size fits all when it comes to recommendations. I think whether you read just a little bit, like one book a year, or you read all the time, no matter what your genre is, if it's, thriller, mystery, action, sci-fi, fantasy, adventure, like whatever you're looking for, like this book has it. It's very consumable. It's easy to read, but if you're into things that have some, scientific plausibility, like everything is in this. And the main thing that makes it such a great pick, in my opinion, is that it's very, very recognizable. Like the Jurassic Park franchise is so beloved, and I think that this is going to be a great fit for just about anybody. So to me, this is mashed potatoes. Like, you should put it on your plate because you're definitely going to like it. So the most iconic food for Thanksgiving is definitely the Thanksgiving turkey. Like, I don't think there's any arguing that. And whether or not you like really, really love turkey, or if like turkey's not your thing, some people, turkeys are tricky to cook. They can be dry, they can be a little bland. I love turkey. I think it is delicious, and I'm always looking forward to my turkey. But we have a rule. It's like, if you're eating at Thanksgiving, you have to at least have turkey on your plate. So to me, turkey is the classic. You absolutely have to have it on your plate. And I come from the genre and the realm of fantasy readers. And in my opinion, you gotta have it on your plate. You have to at least have read Lord of the Rings, okay? So I am not one of those people that thinks the Lord of the Rings needs to be your favorite. Some people really have this idea that if you say you like fantasy and if you've read Lord of the Rings, it has to be your number one. I don't think that at all, but I do think that if you are a fantasy reader and a fan of the genre and a lover of all that comes with it, you have to at least have this on your plate. I don't need you to tell me you loved it. I don't need you to tell me you think it's the best. But I think it's really important once you get comfortable in a genre to familiarize yourself with the roots of the genre. And it doesn't get any more classic than this. So if you haven't read it, please check it out because it really might surprise you. I'm in the midst of a reread myself right now, and it never ceases to amaze me how truly timeless it is. The storytelling style is so beautiful and quaint, and I just think it is a great read. But I do feel like, it's Thanksgiving, you need to have some turkey on your plate. Like, if you're a fantasy reader, you do need to read this, and I hope you love it. But if you don't, like I said, I think it's still an important read. The next quintessential Thanksgiving food is going to be the gravy. Like, guys, gravy is delicious. You can't get enough of it. You want your gravy on everything. Now, there are people out there, here I come with another hot take. There are people out there who do not want their food to touch. Like, they might as well have it on a cafeteria platter. Like, they do not want their food to touch. I'm not that person. Like, it's all going to the same place anyway, and I think all of the flavors of Thanksgiving really complement each other really well. And so I'm all about just like making it all married on the plate and then just drowning the whole thing in gravy. So to me, the gravy is something that you can't get enough of, and you want it to be in every book. Like, you would not be mad at this concept or idea if it were in every book because you just love it so much. And for me, that is going to be the animal companion. Now, I love a lot of tropes because they make me feel happy. They feel familiar. I like a good trope done well. But an animal companion is hands down my favorite. Like, you could stick a beloved wolf or a dog or a horse or, it could be a weird lizard for all I care. But if it is a quirky, little, reliable, heartwarming animal, you can put it in every book and I'd be like, yeah, another animal. Okay, so let's talk about cranberries. For a lot of people, cranberries are just there because it's traditional. Like, you're supposed to have cranberries with your turkey. You're supposed to have cranberries on the table. First of all, first question, do you like the cranberries, or are they just there for looks? And if you like cranberries, are you into the canned cranberry sauce, or do you like, you know, a fancier, like, homemade version, maybe some roasted cranberries? We've done it all kinds of different ways. Personally, I do enjoy the cranberry sauce, and I kind of like both. Like, I like the bitter notes that come from making it yourself, because the bitter is what makes it relevant. Like, the cranberry sauce is on the table to be a palate cleanser. Like, basically it's to kind of use those bitter notes to cleanse your palate in between all the heavy foods, and it really pairs well with you know, everything you're eating. I also do like the canned cranberry sauce, though, because I like it on my leftover sandwich, which I'm going to tell you about later. But anyway, I'm a fan of the cranberries. Give me any of it. I like it all. But like I said, the actual point of the cranberry sauce from a culinary perspective is to use it as a palate cleanser. So let's talk about palate cleansers. I had so many options for this prompt, but I've been feeling a little like nostalgic, kind of missing this world, and so I'm going to talk about Dresden Files, which in my opinion is just like the perfect palate cleanser. I'm gonna tell you why. First of all, these are not overly long. Like, they're not all short books necessarily, but page count wise, they're all pretty consumable. They read really, really quickly because they're fast paced and they're fun, and they are just written really in a very consumable way. They are somewhat episodic. The story does build into a huge, like, overarching, masterful, big plot, but each book has kind of its own case file that it handles. But here's the thing. I love these as palate cleansers because you're still staying within fantasy. Like, that's my comfort zone. I love it there. It still is fantasy, like Harry's a wizard. But you're getting a unique POV. Like, it's coming from Harry's perspective. He writes in such a like witty, realistic type dialogue, and it's modern. So like, you're feeling like you're out of your element. You're taking a break from your typical fantasy setting, but you're still getting the fantasy elements that you like. You know, Harry's just the best. He has an amazing cast and crew, and each book kind of features different friends of his. Their banter is hilarious, and it's just like I said, like, it has this big story that you're working towards that's, you know, it's grand and it's worth it, but each book in itself is just like a tasty bite. So these to me are amazing palate cleansers. Let's talk for a second about casseroles. So I'm a big fan. I'm like Southern Baptist Oklahoma girl, and so like I know about casseroles. We do all kinds of casseroles. So we do carrot casserole, we do a creamy corn casserole, we have oyster casserole, we have so many different kinds of casseroles, and they're all delicious. But the most iconic is clearly going to be green bean casserole. And so for this prompt, I'm calling it something that looked gross, but is actually super, super yummy. So I hear a lot of people who, especially not Americans, if I'm being honest, who have never had a green bean casserole, and they see it and they're like, what is that? It's canned green beans in a gray sauce with like crispy bugs on top. Like, what are you doing? But it is just yummy. Like, it's just so good. And we have tried to fancy it up before. We've used fresh green beans, made homemade cream and mushroom, literally delicately fried the scallions to make my own crispy fried onions. Trash. Put it away. I don't want that. I want canned green beans, cream of mushroom soup, French's, French onion, crispy, whatever those are, okay? Like, it's delicious, but it looks like a pile of garbage in a casserole dish. So, what is a book that looked gross but was actually good? So, for this one, I'm going to go with Empire of the Vampire. And this one probably isn't totally fair because there are several very good-looking covers for this book. This is not one. This looks like the type of books that I think people think I read. Like, people I know who don't really, like, they think I probably just read, like, a lot of really sexy vampire books. Anyway, this book, the cover didn't do it for me, but the book itself did. I found this to be really, really good. It was one of my favorite reads. Was that last year that we read this? It must have been. This was one of my favorite reads last year, and it was so not what I was expecting. I kind of was like, hey, if you guys are going to read it, I'll check it out too. Started hearing more and more good things about it, and sure enough, just another case of do not judge a book by its cover. Like, the title is a little cheesy in itself, but then you add on the sexy shirtless vampire, and I just had low expectations. But you know what? It was a great book. Okay, we cannot have a Thanksgiving meal without stuffing. What do you guys think about stuffing? I love it because it's like bread that tastes like meat. Like, it's everything I love. It's savory and buttery and moist and delicious and just pure carbs. So I'm a huge fan. On my mom's side of the family, we do a southern style cornbread stuffing, and on my husband's side of the family, we do like this toasty, delicious, like white bread stuffing that has sausage and celery, and it's super, super yummy. So I love stuffing, and I just find it to be just about the most comforting food I can come up with. It is like the very definition of comfort food. So what is a book that feels like comfort food? And I'm going to go with Boy's Life by Robert McCammon. This is a book that just absolutely knocked me over this year. I didn't know what to expect, and it's a hard book to even explain to somebody. It's just a book you want to hand to somebody and go, just trust me, just read this, it's going to make you feel good. It makes you feel all the things. I laughed, I cried, I was nostalgic, it made me happy, but in the end, by the time it was all said and done, I was just like, that is a book that made me feel great. And I'm so glad I read it, and I'm loving telling people about it because I'm getting so much great feedback as well. So this to me is a book that reads like comfort food. At Thanksgiving, we eat pies. So a lot of desserts. We usually end up having several things, way too much, always way too much. But there has to be pies. And we've even had a year where it was like, so-and-so is not going to be there, and this cousin usually eats most of the pie. And we're like, you know what, let's just have... And my grandma's like, are you kidding me right now? You have to at least have a pecan pie and a pumpkin pie. And coming again, hot takes. I don't eat pumpkin pie. I don't like it. It's gross. It's yucky bad. Don't like it. I don't like anything pumpkin, if I'm being honest. It's something about the combination of, like, I like cinnamon, but the nutmeg and the ginger and the... I don't know, those anise flavors, like I do not like spiced things. And then pumpkin pie, the texture of it just tastes like baby food. I do not like it. But I make pumpkin pie every year because it's tradition. Also, everyone else seems to like it. So I'm all about making it. I believe it needs to be there, but it's not my preference when it comes to delicious indulgences. So I'm calling this prompt right here, this dessert prompt, Guilty Pleasures. Because typically by the time you're ready for dessert, you do not need dessert. Like, you have already eaten enough to put you into a coma. So many carbs, so many calories. You don't need pie. You don't need pie. But you're going to eat pie. You're going to indulge. You're going to have it. And you're going to have another piece, and you're not going to tell anybody. Like, the whole dessert section over here is just about guilty pleasures and absolutely indulging. So I'm going to share a secret with you guys. I'm going to show you my guilty pleasure. This is an author that was introduced to me by my mother when I was way too young to read these. And they have been my guilty pleasure ever since. Now, I haven't read one in many years. But the last time I read one, I was an adult. And I do distinctly remember going, I don't care. I like it. Like, I know it's not good. I know I don't need it. I know I shouldn't have another one, but I think it's delicious. And that is V.C. Andrews' books. So she is most famous for writing the Flowers in the Attic series. Super inappropriate. Why did my mom let me read that? I don't know. She's like, you're going to love this book. It's about child abuse and incest. And I was like 12. And I was like, oh, okay. Ate it up. I loved that series. And then I have some other ones too. There's a prequel book. There's this one right here, My Sweet Audrina. Very creepy, dark, messed up, really scary, but also like so many left turns. Like, I really like these. Now, under her name, there have been like probably at this point hundreds of books written. They're not all her. She has her original, you know, she's probably written many, many, many more than I've read, but she has her original core set of books that she wrote, and then the rest have been written under her name. But guys, I can't help it. I'm not gonna lie. I really like these VC Andrews books. It's a guilty pleasure. All right, we're gonna move on from the food here pretty soon, but we have to talk about the vegetable tray. Now, I don't know about your family, but my family always feels the need to have like a tray with a bunch of cut vegetables and pickles and beets and stuff that like no one's actually going to eat, but it's always there, and you always put a couple pieces of vegetables on your plate. You're not going to eat them. You put them there to look healthy. You put them there not to hurt your grandma's feelings. So I'm going to call this section, you put it on your plate to look healthy, but you're not going to eat it. So like, what is a book that you own and you keep it on your shelf because it just feels like the right thing to do? Maybe it makes you look cool. I don't know. But you haven't read it and you have no intention of reading it. Like, I'm going to ask you to call yourself out on this tag, okay? Okay, I have never read the Silmarillion. I have never read it. I'm not saying that I won't ever read it, but I have no like future plans, no date on this, no timeline. I don't feel like I need it, and I just don't really want to right now. But do I have it on my shelf? Yes. Do I have 2 copies? Yes. Do I have one really, 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 really nice edition that's displayed in my living room? Yeah, I do, but I'm not gonna eat it. I'm not gonna read it right now. So, do you have a book like that? Just tell me. Just tell me. Okay, leftovers. Let's talk about Thanksgiving leftovers. I'm being honest. The worst part about Thanksgiving, being me, is having to figure out how to put all the food away. Like, everyone eats, and like I said, they all disappear to go watch football and take their naps, and then who's left in the kitchen trying to figure out where we're going to put all this shit? Me and my mom and my sister, okay? So you're getting out Tupperware, and you're like, oh my gosh, our refrigerator is already so full. How are we going to have room for all this? And so wants a plate to take to work, and we have to take this to the neighbors. Finding all the baggies and Tupperware is just like, oh, leftovers. So I don't like putting the leftovers away, but I love to eat the leftovers. I always make an epic leftover sandwich, and you take potato bread and mayo, and then you take a thick slice of stuffing, because my grandma's cornbread stuffing does slice pretty well, but you could crumble some on if you do it a different way, okay? You take some turkey, dark meat. You take some canned slices of the cranberry sauce. And you take whatever else you want, really. You could put anything on there. You could put mashed potatoes. You could put green bean casserole. You take everything you like from your plate and you put it on this potato bread, and you make a cold leftover turkey sandwich. And it is so delicious, you guys. Like, the whole frustration of having to figure out what to do with the leftovers is worth it to have that sandwich later. So we love the leftovers. So for this prompt, what is a book that is better on a reread? Like, I love leftovers. Some foods just age better and they're better when they're cold. Like, it's weird. But what is a book that's better on a reread? And for this book, I don't know if it's my number 1 pick, but it is the first thing that came to my mind. And I picked Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. I've only reread it once, but the first time I read it, I really didn't know what to expect. I mean, it's Frankenstein. It's a horror book, right? It's, you know, Frankenstein is scary and he's a monster. And I was just pleasantly surprised, but very surprised, because it wasn't what I was expecting. I wasn't expecting like the most beautiful, haunting, layered, moving story ever. And I was just like, wow, that was crazy. I have to read that again. So it wasn't very long before I did a second go at it. And let me tell you, I think this is a book that's going to get better every time I read it. I think my appreciation for it will just get greater. And, you know, it's one of those books that it's beautiful and it is a good story, but you pick up things and you're going to find layers there. So I think this one is going to just get better every time I read it. All right, let's talk a little bit about the colorful characters, family members who are there. I could have gone on and on and on with this prompt, but it's already getting long, so I'm going to keep it short. I'm going to call this one the long-winded uncle. So a book that you genuinely love, but honestly, like, it won't shut up. Like, it went on too long. And for this one, I am going to go with a Wheel of Time book, and I'm going to pick Winter's Heart. But honestly, it could have been one of a few books that I picked for this little segment. I love the Wheel of Time. Like, I really love the Wheel of Time. I have a video talking all about why it is I like it, what I like about it, why I think you should read it, who I think maybe shouldn't read it. But the point is, it has a notorious middle point that just kind of like, it goes too slow for a couple books. And I think that this is a good example of a slog book because it has some really high highs. It has some really cool scenes. It has some pivotal moments that are really important. But it goes on a little too long. Robert, you need to just wrap it up. You told us this story before. Yep, Uncle Robert. I remember that time. Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy, man. It's the uncle that just won't shut up. So yeah, do you have a book like this that you're like, listen, I'm not going to hold it against the series. And honestly, I will read this book again someday. And there's a lot to love about it. But come on, wrap it up. So this next topic is family drama. So my family is very, very tight-knit. We get along really, really well. And not just my mom and dad and my siblings, but my in-laws as well. I have just really been blessed with amazing family, and we get along really well. We love spending time with each other. We look forward to events like this. But that's not to say that we don't have our own brand of drama. Like, there will be hurt feelings. There will be misunderstandings. There will be storming off. There will be heated arguments. Trust me, it's going to happen. So family drama to me is like twists and turns. So what is a book that's like full of it? Like, you could take that literally to mean family drama, because I like that. Or I'm going to go the route of twists and turns. And I'm going to put Licanius. I'm holding up book 1. God damn, those are big books. I'm holding up book 1, but I'm talking about the whole series, okay? So Licanius was a series for me that was a little bit of a letdown. And it was only because I took some issues with the way some things were executed and some of the writing choices. But the plot line itself is nothing but twists and turns. And he's who? What? I didn't see that coming. And what? How are you his dad? Like, all that kind of stuff over and over and over again. And I think the twists and the turns and the plot revelations were well executed. It never felt like it was doing it just to be shocking or just to be crazy. Like, I really did think that the plot as an outline really, really works, and the twists were pretty good. Like I said, the further I get away from it, I am disappointed with this series. But it wasn't a total flop. There was a lot to like about it. It just, I have some complaints about it. But as far as the plot and the twists and the turns go, nailed it. And as I mentioned earlier, I do really think of Thanksgiving as the prologue to my Christmas season. And so during Thanksgiving, we inevitably will always do some Christmas planning. We draw names for gift exchange, and we usually do some Christmas shopping, and we kind of talk about dates, like, who's going to be where, when, are you coming to me, am I coming to you? So we really start to plan out the next big thing. And so for this prompt, I just simply want to close out by asking you, what are you most excited for 2023. Not everybody does TBRs. Not everybody plans their months out, much less their whole year. But is there something on the horizon for 2023 that you are just like really looking forward to, and what is it? For me, the thing I am looking most forward to, well, two things actually. Reading Guy Gavriel Kay is the #1 author and series that I'm most excited about starting. I'm holding up these Sailing to Sarantium books. It's a duology, because this is where I'm going to start. I do believe these will be my first reads of 2023. I'm very much so looking forward to discovering, why this guy is such an icon, and why so many people that I trust and look up to kind of hail him as one of their very, very favorites. So this is new to me that I'm excited for. But the other thing that I'm very, very excited for when it comes to 2023 is I do plan to tackle several rereads. I'm very excited about rereading The First Law, continuing my reread of Lord of the Rings, and then also I don't think I'm going to be able to stay away from Realm of the Elderlings. Talking about Dresden Files just tonight has had me going, I should totally reread those. So we'll see. Sometimes I'm a big talker when it comes to plans, but I would love to indulge on some rereads this year. So those are the things I'm most excited about. Guys, thank you for joining me for this Thanksgiving tag video. And I hope that wherever you are, whether you are in the United States or if you are one of my international friends, I just really hope that everyone has a very, very blessed holiday season and is able to spend time with their family and eat some delicious food and read some really good books. Thanks for watching.